I wanted to start a family before we got married. You weren't so keen. You wanted to wait till after we got married. But we had the discussion that once we were married, we'd basically start straight away.
Maddie was 26 when she consulted her Adelaide GP about IVF. But she had to wait 12 months before being referred to a fertility clinic.
We did 5 rounds of that. We did get pregnant twice and we had 2 miscarriages, which was devastating in itself. They did a bunch of tests, and at that point they said, we can't treat you any further until you get your weight and nutrition sorted.
The Royal Australian and New Zealand College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists has imposed a limit. A body mass index, or BMI, greater than or equal to 35 is a recognised risk factor in pregnancy and delivery and should be regarded as a contraindication to assisted fertility. Fertility treatment should not be given unless there are exceptional circumstances.
At that point, you already feel pretty terrible about yourself. And then for a doctor or a specialist to say, well, basically it's your fault, basically just, destroyed us, or destroyed me anyway.
No, definitely
as
us,
a mess.
In February, I was ordained in the Anglican Church as a deacon.
Candice is now the assistant chaplain at an Anglican high school in Melbourne. She began her career as a nurse and in her late 30s, she met Dean. They married in January last year.
We were just allowing nature to take its course and hoping for the best, really.
Eventually, Candice was referred to a clinic and at age 42, she was given some good news about her fertility.
All the tests were normal. There's one that they do, which is an egg reserve, and I think the doctor was a little surprised because it was higher than an average that you would expect for someone my age. So he was like, yeah, this is good. It's really good.
But the mood changed when the clinic called back.
Unfortunately, we can't take you at this clinic because of your BMI. In one respect, it's a discrimination because they haven't done any health checks on me. Like, I didn't feel I was getting good answers of why. It was just policy.
The average age of a woman coming through for IVF in this country is nudging 36 years. Indeed, about 1 in 4 women are 40 plus.
Professor Kelton Tremelin is from Flinders University. He's also the clinical director of Adelaide's largest IVF clinic.
We see a lot of patients with a BMI of 35 plus, and it's not really practical to absolutely block them having treatment. We need a little bit more flexibility.
The BMI might not be a total guide to an individual's health, but it shows how Australia's population is part of a global obesity epidemic that's not slowing down. In 1980, less than 8% of women and less than 10% of men were classified as obese. Now, those figures have tripled. Almost 1 in 3 adults are obese and even more are overweight.
Obviously, there are risks with the IVF process. So first of all, there's the anaesthetic risks. All pregnancy complications are more common with obesity, so high blood pressure, diabetes, early delivery, operative delivery, etc. So there are risks, and there are some risks to the baby as well. We acknowledge those risks are higher, but are they high enough to absolutely block access? And I would say no, for most women.
Maddie has a thyroid condition which impacts her weight. When she tried a second clinic, she also received an unwelcome call from the nurse.
She said that my BMI was too high and that I needed to get my weight down. But it's what I've been trying to lose for God knows how long, and it just doesn't work. I've tried every diet under the sun. I exercise frequently. I eat healthy and a balanced diet, but it just doesn't seem to come off.
The solution was you can lose 15 kilos. That was the solution, to get under the BMI that they would allow. I endured 30 years of disordered eating, diet, essentially ended up with an eating disorder, and it's taken 2 solid years to get to a really good and healthy place. Am I willing to sacrifice my mental health to do this?
You start to feel time is getting away from you, and even though I'm only 31, it also starts to impact the way that you feel about growing your family. Like, are we only going to be able to have 1 child, or do we have enough time to be able to have 2 or 3 kids if we wanted to have 2 or 3 kids?
Yeah.
The American Society for Reproductive Medicine and the American College for Obstetrics and Gynaecology both state that it's really not science-based to block people's access based on an arbitrary BMI.
In fact, the Americans say there is considerable evidence arguing against such a policy. The Royal Australian and New Zealand College of Obstetricians and Gynaecologists had their policy under review 6 years ago, but still no change. All they told us was there are no plans to alter current recommendations.
What defines exceptional circumstance, I don't know. I guess what I would say clinically is if someone's tried to lose weight and it hasn't happened, or they're getting older and they're running out of time, or this sort of thing, I would consider that exceptional circumstance.
Maddie has been accepted at Professor Tremellan's clinic.
To finally be heard with a specialist that says, yes, we want to help you get pregnant is all we've ever asked for.
But what about Candice? Would she be willing to lose the weight and jeopardise her mental health?
We spoke about it and we just both agreed it wasn't worth it. We've just put it in the hope basket. There are times where you do crumble, but I think where God comes in is, picks you up and says, okay, let's keep walking.
Something needs to be done about a blanket ban when it comes to BMI. BMI is essentially an oversimplification of what it looks like to be quote-unquote healthy because it doesn't take into account factors such as age, sex, bone mass, bone density, actual weight, your mass and the fat mass that is within you as well.
Muscle composition.
Muscle composition, that kind of thing. So if you're going to have that approach, you do really need to have it be like maybe a starting point and then have a far more individualistic approach to then carrying on throughout the process, right? Because my understanding, you saw it with stats there, BMI was created in a way that was meant to just have an overreach and an overlook for statistics to when it comes to a mass number rather than the individual. So it's great if you're looking at statistics when it comes to
population level or
population stuff,
it's
but not
so
the
different.
individual.
I just feel so bad for these beautiful women, and thank you so much for speaking out, beautiful Maddie and Candice. But going through IVF is mentally, physically, emotionally exhausting, and then to be told that you're too big, it just adds to the heartbreak. It's...
Just no matter how hard it would be for them. The thing is, though, that if you change the policy, it would have to be based on some other form of evidence.
Yeah.
There'll always be a line where there are these hard cases.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. That doesn't mean the line's correct for these people.
No.
But it's inescapable, I think, that we're in that situation at some point.